Trump's big, beautiful bill that already went through the House, went to the Senate for markup, is getting just destroyed in the Senate. That's what I'm concluding from these comments. I'll show you why I'm saying that in this video. It's largely going to be from two sources: Margie Taylor Greene, who I think is a great truth teller; Speaker Mike Johnson, who is Trump's right-hand man; Trump himself, and a couple other parties on the big, beautiful bill. What's happening to it? It's complicated. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. I love breaking these things down just so that all this stuff makes sense, because that big, beautiful bill represents, if it fails, remember, by this fall, all of our taxes go up by 60%. So there's a lot at stake, and Trump wanted all kinds of stuff lumped into this bill. They didn't want to go through it one item at a time. So in a way, this is his own plan, his own doings. Let's watch. Margie Taylor Greene over here first sounds the alarm on Twitter. Unelected Senate parliamentarian. I didn't even know that there was such a thing as a Senate parliamentarian, but apparently there is one. And she was appointed by Harry Reid, to show you how far back she goes. Just ruled against throwing illegal aliens off of American taxpayer-funded Medicare and Medicaid, and stopping Medicaid and CHIP from funding trans changes on children. We are trying to undo the America Last insanity from the Democrats by kicking illegals off of Medicare and Medicaid and stopping taxpayer subsidies from being used for genital mutilation. But the unelected Senate parliamentarian used the bird rule. I'm going to go into this too, guys. I didn't know anything about this stuff, so I did my research. I'm going to explain it to you. Meaning these Trump agenda priorities that deliver our campaign promises need to be stripped out of the one big, beautiful bill. The unelected deep state bureaucrats, radical far-left activist judges, and America Last Democrats are doing everything they can to destroy President Trump and the people's agenda. When Margie Taylor Greene says that, I don't think she's a BSer. I think she's telling the truth. Let's get Trump's take on where we're at on the big, beautiful bill.
Before I got there, because I put this in the first tax bill, as you know, but people would die. They'd leave their farm. There was no cash, but there was value to the farm, sometimes good value. It's called real estate rich and cash poor. And the kids had no money, and they'd be foreclosed out by a bank. They'd borrow money to pay the estate tax. You don't have to pay estate tax anymore. That's pretty big stuff. So for the farmers and for others in small business, it's great. But James's family has been working the land for generations, and with this bill, we will ensure that family farms like his can stay in the family for many generations to come. Where's James? James, you around? Where's James?
So Trump is very happy underlining the positive things that still remain in the big, beautiful bill. In this case, removing that death tax when a farmer dies, that the land can be passed on without getting an estate tax. Hugely popular stuff. But Trump here is very much, he just wants a win. He's not going to go out to the public and say, hey, everyone, we got to vote this big, beautiful bill down. It still has an AI carve out. It has whatever. He just wants this thing to pass to get a win so he can say, I reduced the taxes and whatever. Well, meanwhile, a whole lot of the agenda is getting gutted out of the bill. So this is what I mean by Trump as being a pretty mainstream politician on this one. I know a lot of you guys don't like that word, but that is exactly what I see happening. So with apologies, you're always welcome to dissent in the comments here in Exile. I do not edit you guys. I'm not here to control what you think. To me, it's more important to me to hear how this is all hitting you. What do you guys think? Here's Speaker Mike Johnson doing an awkward, like Elizabeth Warren yesterday. And I like Speaker Mike Johnson, but here he is doing one of those walk-in talks where they are just casually following while he talks about the big, beautiful bill.
Hey everybody, here at the White House, walking into a big ceremony here where we'll have Americans from all across the country who have gathered to talk about how the big, beautiful bill is going to be a big change to their lives. We're going to fulfill all of our campaign promises here. We're going to have massive tax cuts, historic in their scope. We're going to have big regulatory relief. We're going to restore American energy dominance again and get back to peace through strength. Oh, and the largest amount of savings ever produced by Congress. This is a big thing, and we're going to get it done. We're excited to deliver. Stay tuned for more developments.
This is spam. Thank you, Mike Johnson. I support him. I support Trump. The big, beautiful bill, I'm iffy on, but, Trump has an agenda. And this is kind of mainstream. Okay, Mike Johnson, he's the right-hand man of Trump. This is Trump's man. And they're going like, we're going to record you walking through these halls. And you're going to talk up this bill. It's time for us all to do our TikTok release. It's time for us all to do our social media, and they all do their little recordings. That's what I see going on here. Here is Tom Homan, who checked in on the big, beautiful bill. This is posted by Speaker Mike Johnson, but this is Tom Homan in front of that same crowd about all the funding that we're going to do to support ICE agents and fund kind of the deportation of more illegals, the ones that are still allowed to be deported after the parliamentarian ripped some of that out of the bill.
People are dying every day. ICE is arresting 3 times as many criminals that the Biden administration did. We're taking public safety threats and national security threats off the street every single day. Well, we got over 600,000 illegal aliens with criminal histories walking the streets of this country. We got less than 5,000 deportation officers. This should be a no-brainer. The more resources we get, if we get this bill passed, we got more agents on the road. We buy more beds, we get more transportation flights. More agents means more bad guys arrested, taken off the streets of this country every single day. Every day we arrest a public safety threat or national security threat, this makes this country much safer. Who the hell would be against that? And I get irritated, I get pissed off because I'm sick of meeting angel moms and dads. You want to talk about family separation? They buried their children. So I've done this since 1984. I've worked for 6 different presidents. No one has had the success of the Trump administration. We got the most secure border in the history of this nation today.
So this is a big pump for the big, beautiful bill from Tom Homan. I'm giving you guys the good news before I bring you the bad news. These are the positive cases for the bill. Is he's like, look, we've never had a more secure border. Now we're going to fund it. It's going to get tighter. It's going to get better. That's a huge plus for passing the big, beautiful bill. Doesn't mention the AI carve out. Doesn't mention some of the other things. Here's more from Margie Taylor Greene, who does not like the direction of the big, beautiful bill. She says the Senate is out of control. How is John Thune allowing this war powers resolution, a referendum against President Trump, tonight at 6 p.m. And Thune is allowing the Senate parliamentarian, there's that word again, the parliamentarian appointed by Harry Reid, to strip out all the MAGA provisions in the bill. What? Did someone tell Mike Johnson and Tom Homan and Trump that yet? The unelected parliamentarian is no different than the radical far left judges and Jerome Powell. Thune needs to overrule her or fire her, which, by the way, he allegedly has the authority to do. We're going to get into that, too. The last time a Senate parliamentarian was fired was in 2001 during the budget reconciliation, and Senate leader Trent Lott fired the Senate parliamentarian for using the Byrd rule to strip things out. And that's what this parliamentarian did. She used the Byrd rule to strip things out. We need leaders with courage, not weak men, who refuse to use their power in order to do the right thing. This is a tweet from the Senate cloakroom that she's responding to. Vote forecast at 6 p.m. on Friday. Today, June 27th, the Senate is expected to proceed to a roll call vote on the motion to discharge from Foreign Relations Committee, RES 59, Kane War Powers Resolution on Iran. Now, I know this is all a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo, guys. This is a lot of Senate spaghetti. I get it. This is very complicated. It's way over my head. But that's why I want to bring it to you. I just want to let you know what is causing this stuff. Margie Taylor Greene is furious they're bringing up this War Powers Act when they should be working on the big, beautiful bill or reducing the budget or Doge. I asked Grok to explain this stuff like I'm a third grader on what the Byrd rule is, what the Senate parliamentarian is doing, and here's what it came up with. So there. The Byrd rule is a Senate rule that controls what can be included in a special type of bill called a reconciliation bill, which is what the big, beautiful bill is. These bills are unique because they only need 51 votes to pass in the Senate. That's why they want it to be a reconciliation bill, because we don't have enough of a gap. We don't have enough of a majority in the Senate to pull this off. So the only way we're going to get a budget passed is through a reconciliation bill, and that has certain limits of the kinds of things that you can change in it, okay? Instead of the usual 60 votes needed to overcome a filibuster, which is when senators can block a bill by taking a long time. The Byrd rule, named after Senator Robert Byrd, remember he was the member of the Ku Klux Klan, Democrat, says that only things directly related to the federal budget, like taxes, spending, or the national debt, can be in a reconciliation bill. If something in the bill is mostly about changing policy, like new rules for healthcare or immigration, and doesn't have a clear budget impact, it can be removed because it's considered extraneous and not relevant to the budget. This rule exists to keep reconciliation bills focused on money matters and prevent senators from sneaking in unrelated policies. So this parliamentarian who was appointed by Harry Reid comes in and says, this stuff with the illegals, this has nothing to do with the budget. Get this out. This is policy, not budget. And now I'm going to show you all the things that they're going to gut from this bill now, which Marjorie Taylor Greene says is the MAGA agenda. So this battle is on, guys. This whole bill could get gutted. And the only thing Trump could have left is that thing that he said in the last video about, hey, we're allowed to remove the taxes of farmers inheriting their farmland. And maybe that's all Trump wants out of it. Maybe that's all he wants to get a win. Here's the rest of it. The Big Beautiful Bill is nicknamed after a Republican tax and spending bill, officially called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, that President Donald Trump and Senate Republicans are trying to pass using the reconciliation process to avoid needing Democrat votes. The bill includes things like tax cuts, changes to Medicaid, a health care program for low-income people, and other policies Republicans want, like limiting who can get certain benefits. However, the Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough, that's the big controversy right now, guys. The Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough is reviewing the bill in a process called the Byrd Bath. That's the Robert Byrd Amendment there, where she checks every part to make sure it follows the Byrd rule. She's ruled that several key provisions, like a plan to cut Medicaid costs by limiting how states tax healthcare providers, restrictions on non-citizens getting benefits, that's illegal aliens getting benefits, she got that out of the MAGA bill, and changes to student loans don't meet the Byrd rule because they're more about policy changes than budget impacts. These provisions have been removed or need 60 votes, which is going to require Democrat votes, and they're not going to do it to stay, which Republicans don't have, shrinking the bill and frustrating their plans. Now you guys get it? That's like the best explanation I've seen, and it came from Grok. Republicans feel the parliamentarian is undermining them because her rulings are blocking major parts of their agenda, forcing them to rewrite or drop policies they promised voters, like saving billions through Medicaid by cutting and fund tax cuts. Some Republicans, like Senator Tom Tuberville, are angry and even want to fire McDonough. That's the new thing. They're going to fire this parliamentarian, calling her unelected bureaucrat who's blocking Trump's mandate. However, the parliamentarian's job is to be neutral and enforce Senate rules, allegedly, not to take sides. Now, that is a question. This is what I mean. She's definitely taking sides because she wouldn't do this against Democrats. She's only doing it against Republicans. So what do you call that? You call that taking sides. That's called being political. She needs to be fired. Democrats are happy with the rulings because they stop Republican policies they oppose, and they're pushing hard to challenge more parts of the bill. Republicans could try to overrule McDonough with a simple majority vote. That would require 51 votes. But Senate Majority Leader John Thune has said he won't do that. What side are you on, John Thune? Leaving the GOP scrambling to fill the bill before the July 4th deadline set by Trump. Now you guys know how complicated all this frabba-jabba can get, okay? Now here's Sean Davis on if because now they're saying, can they fire her or not? Here's Jake Sherman first. Vance can't overrule the parliamentarian. That's not how this would work. It would be a vote. And for what it's worth, a vote that I believe would be unsuccessful to overturn her. Then here's Sean Davis, wrong on the parliamentary procedure. The Senate parliamentarian is a staff advisor. She has no authority to rule. The parliamentarian advises the chair, and the chair issues a ruling. So she cannot overrule the chair. At that point, the Senate has the ability to appeal the ruling of the chair. On reconciliation, the threshold to either appeal the ruling on the chair or to waive the point of order is 60 votes. In the event J.D. Vance were to ignore the parliamentarian's advice and rule that a Byrd point of order was not well taken, the provision would stay in unless there were 60 votes to overrule the chair. That is, to overturn it should require 60 votes and effectively reinstate, sustain the point of order. However, an amendment to strike the language would still only need a simple majority to succeed. If a majority wants a provision removed, it's going to get removed regardless of what the parliamentarian advises or what Vance or whoever else the chair rules. That's just clarifying, saying they're limited. Now here's more provisions that violate the Byrd rule in the Republicans' one big beautiful bill. I'm not going to go over all these, but just you can see, these are all the things that the parliamentarian right now are working on to remove, like deregulation of gun silencers and easily concealable guns. This is affecting the Second Amendment. She's going to remove those and say those can't be in the big, beautiful bill. Mandatory pre-certification of earned income tax credit, increasing penalties for disclosures of taxpayer information. So you're going to see she's digging into this now that she's got a long leash on it. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene again. Today, the Senate has supported to vote for the big, beautiful bill, but instead it's scheduled to vote for a war powers resolution as a referendum on Trump for a war that he already ended. That's what John Thune's doing. It comes after the parliamentarian struck all the MAGA provisions out of the big, beautiful bill. Who in the hell is running the Senate? And then here's the last one. Breaking Republican-led U.S. Senate has canceled today's vote on the big, beautiful bill after Majority Leader John Thune allowed unelected parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough to strip the codification of President Trump's orders, remove DOGE cuts, and re-add welfare for illegals on the bill. Here's what they said. Why does MAGA get so mad at Speaker Mike Johnson and John Thune while never getting mad at Trump for constantly praising Thune and Johnson? We're stuck with Thune and Johnson because of Trump's admiration of them. So a little conflict on our side. I'm just reporting it, guys. You got many. I didn't know half this stuff. So when I learn it, I break it down and bring it back to you. This is what's happening in the Senate right now. This is why you don't have a big, beautiful bill. This is why it's gutted if you do get the bill. This is why Marjorie Taylor Greene is furious. And Mike Johnson, Trump, even Tom Homan and Thune appear to be smoothing this over and going, we're still on board with the big, beautiful bill. What about you? Are you ready with this bill gutted by that parliamentarian? Should it go through? If it says Medicaid for illegals, are you for the big, beautiful bill? I'm not. This thing needs to go down. Go back and start over, guys, or fire that parliamentarian. Probably should be step one. Put pressure on John Thune. I'm Doug in Exile.